The child's voice cut through the throne room like a knife through flesh. One word, 3 letters, Dad. The entire Zerathian court froze mid-breath. Guards stopped marching. Advisors stopped whispering. Even the queen herself went rigid on her crystalline throne, her 6 eyes widening in something humans would recognize as shock. Commander Thane felt his heart slam against his ribcage. He was bound in energy chains, kneeling on the polished obsidian floor, waiting for his execution. He'd been captured 3 weeks ago, during a failed rescue mission. Earth's best pilot. Humanity's last hope. Now just another prisoner about to be vaporized. But nothing about this moment made sense anymore. The child stood at the base of the throne platform. Small. Maybe 7 years old in human terms. Purple skin, 4 arms, silver hair that moved like it was underwater. She wore a simple white dress that seemed to glow. Her eyes, all 4 of them, were locked on Thane. Not on the queen. Not on the guards. On him. Dad, she'd said it again, louder this time, more insistent. The word echoed off the vaulted ceiling, bouncing through the shocked silence. Thane's mind raced. He'd never seen this child before. He'd been in enemy territory for less than a month. He'd spent most of that time in a cell. He had no children. He'd never even been to Zareth before this mission. Yet something stirred in his chest when he looked at her. Recognition, without memory. Connection, without explanation. The queen rose slowly from her throne. Her towering frame cast shadows across half the room. She wore armor made of living metal that rippled and shifted with her movements. Her face was unreadable, but her voice carried the weight of mountains. What did you call him? It wasn't a question. It was a demand. The child didn't flinch. Dad. I called him Dad, because that's what he is. The guards moved then. Fast. Weapons raised. Energy weapons that could turn a human into ash before the scream left their throat. But the queen raised one hand. They stopped. This was impossible. Children didn't interrupt executions. Children didn't address prisoners. And they certainly didn't claim human prisoners as parents. The queen descended the platform steps. Each footfall rang like a gong. She moved with predatory grace, circling Thane, studying him like he was a specimen under glass. He is human. She stated this like it was evidence in a trial. You are Zerathian. You are of royal blood. You are my daughter. Explain. The child, the princess apparently, crossed her lower pair of arms over her chest. Her upper pair reached toward Thane. I don't need to explain. I know what I know. He's my father. I can feel it. Thane wanted to speak, wanted to deny it, wanted to demand answers. But his throat had gone dry, because when the child looked at him, he felt something. A pull. A recognition. Like finding a piece of yourself you didn't know was missing. The queen's chief advisor stepped forward, a tall being with too many joints and eyes that glowed like coals. Your Majesty, the human uses psychological warfare. This is clearly a trick, a manipulation. The child has been compromised somehow. We should remove her from the chamber immediately and proceed with the execution. The princess spun on him, her young face twisted with fury. I'm not compromised. I'm not manipulated. And if you hurt him, I'll never speak to any of you again. The threat hung in the air. Childish. Simple. But the way the advisors exchanged glances suggested it carried more weight than it should. The queen knelt in front of her daughter. Not all the way down. Just enough to bring them face to face. Child, you have never met this creature. His kind wages war against us. They destroy our ships, kill our soldiers. He is the enemy. How can you possibly claim he is your father? The princess reached up with one small hand. She touched the queen's face. Mom, I know you're my mom. I've always known that. But he's my dad. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I know it's true. The same way I know my own name. The same way I know I'm alive. It just is. Thane finally found his voice. He tried to make it steady, tried to sound rational. I don't know your daughter. I've never been to Zareth before this mission. I don't know what's happening here. But there must be an explanation. The Queen's gaze snapped to him. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. You will speak only when spoken to. Human. She looked back at the child. Her expression softened slightly, almost imperceptibly. What is it you want, small one? The princess didn't hesitate. Don't kill him. Please. Let him live. Let him stay. Let him be what he is. My dad. The throne room erupted, advisors shouting, guards arguing, nobles demanding explanation. The Queen raised both hands. Silence crashed down like a physical force. She stood, pulling away from her daughter. She turned to face her council. Her voice carried absolute authority. This court is adjourned. All personnel will vacate this chamber immediately. I will speak with the prisoner and my daughter privately. No one moved. This was not protocol. This was not done. The Queen's armor began to glow. Energy crackled around her. I said, immediately. They moved. Fast. Within 30 seconds, the throne room was empty except for the Queen, the princess, and Thane, still bound in chains on the floor. The Queen walked to a side wall and pressed her hand against it. A section slid open, revealing a smaller chamber. She gestured to the princess. Go. Wait there. The child started to protest. Mom, now. The princess went. Reluctantly. Looking back at Thane every few steps. When she was gone, the Queen sealed the wall behind her. Then she turned to Thane. The energy chains released. He collapsed forward, catching himself with his hands. His wrists ached. His shoulders screamed. He struggled to his feet. The Queen watched him with all 6 eyes. Speak, human. Tell me the truth. Do you know my daughter? Thane met her gaze. No. I swear. I've never seen her before today. Then explain her words. I can't. Thane's voice cracked. I can't explain any of this. But when she looked at me, I felt something. Like a door opening in my mind. Like remembering something I never knew. The Queen was silent for a long moment. Then she moved to a control panel embedded in the wall. She pressed several symbols. A holographic display appeared. It showed data. Complex. Scientific. Thane couldn't read the Zarathian script. The Queen spoke without looking at him. 3 years ago, I underwent a procedure, an experimental method, to produce an heir without a mate. Zarathian reproduction typically requires genetic contribution from 2 beings, but the royal line was in danger. I had no suitable partner, no one I trusted. So I authorized scientists to use alternative methods. She turned to face him. The display shifted. It showed genetic sequences, spiraling patterns, chromosomes. They used genetic material from various sources, attempting to create a viable heir with my traits but enhanced capabilities, superior intelligence, greater strength, longer life. The princess was the result. Thane stared at the display. I don't understand what this has to do with me. The Queen's expression was unreadable. The scientists were instructed to use only Zarathian genetic material. That was my explicit command. But I have recently discovered evidence that they may have disobeyed. Thane felt ice forming in his stomach. What kind of evidence? The Queen brought up another image. It showed a facility. Earth architecture. Human writing on the walls. A laboratory. This. One of your genetic research stations. Attacked by our forces 18 months ago. We took prisoners. Samples. Data. It seems our scientists may have incorporated human genetic material into my daughter's design. Without my knowledge. Without my permission. The room spun. Thane grabbed the edge of a nearby console for support. That's insane. The Queen's voice was cold. Is it? Your species is resourceful, adaptable, aggressive. All traits I wanted for my heir. Someone decided to give her those traits. Literally, the implications crashed down on Thane like an avalanche. That would make me her biological father. In a sense, the Queen's laugh was bitter. In a very real sense, human. Her DNA carries genetic code from your species. If the tests are accurate, and I believe they are, then approximately 40% of her genetic structure is human. You may not be the direct donor, but your kind is part of her. Part of my daughter. She turned away from him. This is why she recognized you. Why she called you father. She can sense the human genetic signature. It's part of her biology, part of who she is. Thane's mind raced. How many people know about this? The Queen's shoulders tensed. Only a handful. The scientists who performed the procedure. My most trusted advisor. And now, you. The public believes she is pure Zarathian. The court believes she is my child alone. Thane saw the trap closing. And if they find out the truth, if they learn, the princess is part human. The Queen turned back to him. Her eyes blazed. She would be seen as contaminated. Impure. Unfit to inherit. There are factions within my government who would use this information to destroy her. To destroy me. To seize power. So you're going to kill me. Make this go away. The Queen was silent for a long moment. That would be the logical solution. Eliminate the witness. Bury the secret. Move forward. She walked toward him. But my daughter has claimed you. She has bonded with you. If I kill you now, I risk losing her trust, her love, and I will not do that. Not for politics, not for power, not for anything. Thane tried to process this. So what happens now? The Queen stopped directly in front of him. Now, Commander Thane, you face a choice. She gestured to the sealed wall where the princess waited. You can accept your role. Live here. In secret. Help me raise a child who is part human. Teach her about your species. Your culture. Give her the connection she clearly needs. Or, she paused. Or, I can arrange your escape. Return you to your people. Erase all evidence of this encounter. My daughter will be told you died. She will mourn. She will eventually forget. And you will live out your life knowing you abandoned a child who shares your DNA. Thane's throat was tight. That's not a choice. That's extortion. The Queen's expression didn't change. That is reality, Commander. Life rarely offers us fair choices. Only necessary ones. Decide. Thane looked at the sealed wall, thought about the child behind it, her 4 eyes, her certainty, her simple declaration. Dad. Something ancient and primal stirred in his chest. The same thing he'd felt when she first spoke. Connection. Responsibility. Purpose. Thane took a breath that felt like swallowing broken glass. I need guarantees. The Queen's head tilted. You are in no position to negotiate. Human. Maybe not. But if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to stay and be part of her life, I need to know this isn't another prison. That I'm not just trading one cell for another. The Queen considered this. Her armor rippled. Glowed. Then dimmed. What would you require? Safety for my crew, Thane said immediately. The people who came with me on the rescue mission, they're in your detention blocks. Wave, I want them released. Return to Earth, unharmed. And I want regular communication with them. Proof they're alive and safe. The Queen's eyes narrowed. You would trust me to provide such proof. I don't have a choice. But if I find out you've lied, If I find out you've hurt them, all of this ends. I'll tell everyone what your daughter really is. Burn your kingdom down from the inside. The threat hung between them. Audacious, suicidal. The queen could kill him with a thought, but something flickered across her face. Respect, maybe, or recognition of necessary ruthlessness. Your crew will be released. They will be told you died during an escape attempt. They will be given your ship and allowed to return home. I will provide monthly transmissions showing their safe arrival and continued well-being. Thane nodded slowly. What about me? What's my life here? You will have quarters in the royal wing, comfortable but isolated. You will have access to my daughter during designated hours. You will teach her about humanity. But you will not leave the palace grounds without escort. You will not contact Earth. You will not reveal your identity to anyone outside my inner circle. You are, effectively, dead to your world. The words landed like punches. Thane had known this was coming, but hearing it stated so plainly made it real, made it final. And if I refuse? Thane asked. If I choose the escape option, then you die anyway. The Queen's voice was matter-of-fact. Because I cannot risk you sharing this information, your escape would be staged. You would be killed quietly. Your body would be delivered to your people as proof of your sacrifice. They would mourn you as a hero, but you would still be dead. Thane laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. So my choices are, stay here and be a father to your daughter while living as a ghost, or die immediately. The Queen didn't flinch. Yes, those are your choices. Choose wisely. Choose quickly. My daughter is waiting, and she is not patient. Thane closed his eyes. Thought about Earth. His apartment in the military district. The view of the ocean. Morning runs on the beach. His squadron. Friends he'd known for years. His sister. His mother. All of them about to receive news of his death. All of them about to grieve. Then, he thought about the child. The princess. Her small hand reaching toward him. Her absolute certainty. Dad. He'd spent his entire adult life fighting. Missions. Battles. Wars. Always moving. Always surviving. Never stopping long enough to build something. To be something other than a soldier. Maybe this was the universe's cruel joke. Maybe this was punishment. Or maybe, somehow, this was a chance. However twisted. However impossible. When he opened his eyes, the Queen was still watching him. I'll stay. He said it quietly, but firmly. I'll stay and be her father. The Queen's expression didn't change, but something in her posture relaxed. Minutely. You understand this is binding. Once you commit, there is no changing your mind. Once my daughter bonds with you, hurting her becomes unthinkable. I will destroy you if you fail her. I understand. And you should understand something too. I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this because I'm scared. I'm doing this because that child in there deserves better than being lied to. Better than being used as a political tool. She deserves someone who will choose her. And apparently, that someone is me. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she turned and opened the wall. The princess ran out immediately. Her eyes were wet. Tears. Thane realized. She could cry. She went straight to Thane and wrapped all 4 arms around his legs. He nearly fell over. Instinctively, he reached down and steadied himself on her shoulders. Are you leaving? Her voice was small. Afraid. No. Thane heard himself say it. Heard the commitment in his own voice. I'm staying. I'm staying right here with you. The child looked up at him. All 4 eyes, shining. You mean it. You're really staying. Really. The Queen watched them, Her face was impossible to read. Then she spoke. From this moment forward, Commander Thane is under royal protection. He will be known as the princess's tutor, her guardian. His past is sealed. His identity is classified. Anyone who speaks of his true nature will be executed. Is that understood? She seemed to be addressing the room itself, as if invisible watchers were present. The princess pulled back slightly. Can I call him Dad? In private. The queen hesitated, then nodded once. In private. Yes. In public, you will call him Guardian. The child beamed. That's a good name too. Guardian. She looked up at Thane. I'm Kyra. That's my name. I'm 3 years old. Well, 3 in our years. That's different from your years. Mom says I'm really smart for my age. I can read 16 languages. And I can do calculations that make the science advisors confused. And I really like stories. Do you know stories? Thane felt something crack inside his chest. Something that had been frozen for a long time. Yeah. I know stories. Good. Kyra's grip tightened. Because I want to hear all of them. Every single story about humans. About Earth. About where I come from. Well, half of where I come from. She glanced at the Queen. Mom won't tell me much. She says it's classified. But you'll tell me. Right. Because you're my dad now. The Queen's voice cut through the moment. Kyra, go to your chambers. I need to speak with your guardian. Alone. The child's face fell. But we just... Now. Kyra. Kyra looked up at Thane. He nodded. It's okay. Go ahead. I'll be here when you get back. Promise. The princess studied his face. Then nodded. Okay. But you better not disappear. I'll find you if you do. And I'm really good at finding things. She released him and headed toward a different exit. Smaller. Less formal. She looked back once more, before vanishing through it. When she was gone, the Queen turned to Thane. The temperature in the room dropped again. You will not fill her head with human propaganda. You will not turn her against her own people. You will not use her as a weapon against Zareth. Thane straightened. I won't lie to her either. If she asks me about the war, about what humans think of Zarathians, I'll tell her the truth. The Queen's eyes blazed. The truth is dangerous. So is deception. Thane shot back. You want her to trust me. To bond with me. That only works if I'm honest. If I start lying now, she'll figure it out. Kids always do. Even alien kids. The Queen was silent. Then she moved to the throne and sat down heavily. She suddenly looked tired. Older. You're right. She said it like the words hurt. I have spent 3 years trying to protect her from the truth. From politics. From danger. But she is too intelligent. Too perceptive. She asks questions I cannot answer. Questions that would require me to admit things I cannot admit. Thane approached carefully. What kind of questions? About her father. About why she feels different from other Zarathian children. About why certain genetic traits don't match mine. I've told her she is special. Unique. Engineered. But she wants to know the specifics. And I cannot give them to her without revealing the human element. Maybe you should, Thane suggested. Maybe she deserves to know the full truth. The Queen's head snapped up. Are you insane? If the court learns she is part human, if the people find out, they will tear her apart. Literally. There are extremist factions who would murder a hybrid child without hesitation. Thane felt cold spreading through his chest. How bad is the anti-human sentiment? Worse than you can imagine. The Queen's voice was bleak. Your species has dealt us significant losses. Destroyed colonies. Killed millions. There are Zarathians who want nothing more than to wipe humanity from existence. And there are humans who feel the same about us. This war has gone on too long. Cost too much. A hybrid child, a royal hybrid child, would be seen as an abomination by both sides. So we're hiding her identity to keep her alive. Not just to protect your throne. Both. The queen admitted. If I fall, she falls. But even if my position were secure, she would still be in danger. This is why I need your cooperation. Why I need your silence. I'll keep her secret, Thane said. But you need to prepare for the possibility that it comes out anyway. Secrets this big don't stay buried forever. Someone always talks. Someone always finds out. The queen's laugh was brittle. I am aware. Which is why I have spent considerable resources ensuring the scientists who created her are well compensated and well monitored, and in some cases, permanently silenced. Thane's stomach turned. You killed them. The necessary ones. Yes. The queen showed no remorse. They knew too much. They became liabilities. I will not apologize for protecting my daughter. Thane wanted to be horrified. Wanted to judge her. But he understood. In a twisted way, he understood completely. How many people still know? 3 scientists, 1 military commander, 2 royal advisors, and now you. 7 people in the entire universe know what my daughter truly is. Thane did the math. And 6 of them are Zarathian. The queen nodded. You are the only human who knows, which makes you incredibly valuable. And incredibly vulnerable. A thought occurred to Thane. Why tell me at all? You could have kept this secret. Let me believe she was just emotionally attached. Why reveal the truth? Because you deserve to know what you were agreeing to. The queen's voice softened almost imperceptibly. And because lying to you, while demanding you bond with my daughter, felt wrong. Hypocritical. Thane felt a flicker of respect despite himself. The queen stood. Your quarters are being prepared. You'll be escorted there within the hour. Tomorrow, you will begin formal sessions with Kyra, teaching her, answering her questions, being what she needs you to be. Tonight, you will rest. Process. Mourn the life you've lost, because tomorrow, Commander Thane of Earth dies, and someone new is born. Thane nodded slowly. Who am I supposed to be? You'll need a name. A history. Something convincing. The queen walked to the exit. Paused. You're a scholar from a remote Zarathian colony. Orphaned young. Brilliant but reclusive. Recruited by the palace to tutor the princess. Your name is Thalen. It's close enough to your real name that you'll respond to it naturally. Thalen. Thane tested it. Felt strange on his tongue. I can work with that. Good. The queen opened the massive doors. Guards stood outside, frozen at attention. She gestured to 2 of them. Escort Guardian Thalen to the prepared quarters. See that he has everything he needs. Food. Clothing. Access to educational materials. The guards saluted. Moved toward Thane. He started to follow, then stopped. One more thing. The queen turned. What? Thank you. Thane said it simply. For not killing me. For giving me this chance. Even if it's insane. Even if it's impossible. Thank you. The queen's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. Don't thank me yet, human. This path you've chosen is harder than death. You'll have to live with secrets. With lies. With the constant knowledge that discovery means execution for both you and my daughter. You'll have to watch her grow up in a world that would destroy her if it knew what she was. And you'll have to do it alone. Without support. Without recognition. Without ever being able to claim her as yours in any meaningful way. So, save your gratitude. You may end up cursing me before this is over. She left. The guards waited. Thane took a breath and followed them into the corridor. The halls of the palace stretched endlessly. All polished stone and bioluminescent lighting. Elegant, cold, alien, his new home, his new prison, his new life. He thought about Kyra, about her determination, her innocence, her absolute conviction that he was her father, and he thought about what the Queen had said. This path is harder than death. Maybe so. But as Thane followed the guards deeper into the palace, into his new existence, he realized something. He'd been half dead for years anyway. Going through motions, fighting wars he didn't believe in, surviving without purpose. At least now he had something real, something worth protecting, a child who needed him, who'd chosen him, who, somehow, impossibly, was his. Even if the universe had to tear apart genetics and reality to make it happen, that was enough. It had to be enough. The quarters were better than Thane expected, and worse than he'd hoped. 3 connected rooms carved into the palace's inner walls. Bedroom, study, bathroom. Everything functional. Everything clean. Everything utterly devoid of personality. The furniture was Zarathian standard. Chairs designed for bodies with different proportions. Bed too narrow. Desk too low. He'd have to adapt. The guards deposited him inside and sealed the door. He heard locks engaging. Multiple locks. Not a prison, the Queen had said, but close enough. Thane sat on the edge of the bed and put his head in his hands. The adrenaline was fading. Reality was setting in. He'd just agreed to spend the rest of his life as a ghost, teaching an alien child who thought he was her father, living in a palace where everyone would be watching, waiting for him to make a mistake, to reveal something he shouldn't, to become a problem. His stomach twisted. He pressed his palms against his eyes, tried to breathe, tried not to think about Earth, about the people he'd left behind, about the memorial service they'd probably hold. His squadron would toast him. His mother would cry. His sister would demand to see his body. They'd tell her there wasn't much left. Recovery had been impossible. She'd have to accept it. Accept that he was gone. Thane stood abruptly. He couldn't do this. Couldn't sit here spiraling. He needed something. Anything. He explored the rooms. The study held shelves of data tablets, all in Zarathian script. He'd have to learn to read it. The Queen's advisors would probably teach him, make him fluent, make him convincing. The bathroom had fixtures he didn't recognize. He'd figure those out later. The bedroom had a window, small, high up, reinforced glass. He pulled a chair over and climbed up to look out. The view took his breath away. The palace sat on a plateau overlooking a massive city. Spires stretched toward a purple sky. 3 moons hung on the horizon. Ships moved between buildings, like schools of fish. Lights everywhere. Movement. Life. Zarath. This was the enemy homeworld. The place Earth had been fighting for years. The place they'd sent dozens of strike forces to attack. All had failed, and now Thane was here. Not as a soldier, not as a prisoner, but as something else entirely. He watched the city for a long time, tried to memorize it. This was his world now. The door chimed. A soft musical note. Thane climbed down from the chair, opened it. A Zarathian stood in the hallway, older, scholarly looking, wearing robes instead of armor. Their skin was darker purple than the Queen's. Their eyes were kind. "You are Thalen." It wasn't a question. "Yes, I am Vekrin, chief educator to the royal household. I'm here to begin your orientation." Thane stepped back. "Let them enter." Vekrin moved carefully. Precisely. They carried a bag of supplies. "This will be challenging for both of us." Vekrin said it gently. "I've never tutored a human before. You've never had to pretend to be Zarathian. But the Queen has commanded it, so we will make it work." Thane sat down. "What do I need to learn?" Everything. Vekran began unpacking the bag. Language, history, culture, politics, biology, how to move, how to speak, how to think like one of us. You'll need to be convincing. The child is perceptive. Others are suspicious. Any mistake could expose you. How long do I have? 3 weeks. Vekran's voice was apologetic. I know it's not enough. But the Queen wants you to begin sessions with Princess Kyra soon. We cannot delay without raising questions. 3 weeks. Thane felt panic rising. To learn an entire civilization, an entire identity, Vekran seemed to read his expression. We'll focus on essentials first. Survival knowledge. Then we'll layer in complexity. You're intelligent. Your military file indicates exceptional adaptability. We'll use that. My military file. Thane's voice was sharp. The Queen provided it. Vekran said simply, she wants me to understand who I'm working with. Your psychological profile. Your skills. Your weaknesses. I know about your tactical training. Your language aptitude. Your tendency towards self-sacrifice. That last part made Thane uncomfortable. And what did you conclude? That you're here because you're a decent man who made an impossible choice. Vekran met his eyes. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because you saw a child in need and couldn't walk away. That's not weakness. That's strength. But it's also dangerous. Because caring makes you vulnerable, makes you exploitable. Thane didn't know how to respond. Vekran continued. The Queen knows this. It's why she trusts you. Because someone who can be manipulated by compassion is someone who can be controlled. I'm not trying to be manipulated. I didn't say you were. Vekran's voice remained gentle. I'm simply stating facts. You should understand the dynamics at play. You're valuable because you care. But you're also expendable because you're human. If you become a problem, you'll be eliminated. No hesitation. No mercy. The Queen has killed for less. Thane felt cold again. You're very honest. Vekran smiled. A strange expression on their alien face. It's my greatest flaw. The Queen tolerates it because I'm useful. But honesty will serve you better than comfort right now. You need to understand your position. Your reality. Sugarcoating it would be cruel. Fair enough. Thane leaned forward. Then tell me honestly, can this work? Can I actually become convincing enough to fool an entire court? Vekran considered. If you're careful. If you're disciplined. If you never let your guard down. Then yes. Maybe. The odds are against you. But not impossible. I've seen stranger things succeed. They began unpacking teaching materials. Data tablets, holographic displays, translation devices. We'll start with language. You need to understand Zarathian at a functional level immediately. The next 3 weeks were brutal. Thane slept 4 hours a night, spent the rest of his time absorbing information like a drowning man gulping air. Vekran was patient, but relentless, drilling him, testing him, correcting him, language first. Zarathian grammar was complex, multiple tenses, gendered nouns, honorifics that changed based on social status and context. Thane made flashcards, practiced conversations, spoke to himself in the mirror until his throat hurt. Then history. The Zarathian Empire had existed for millennia, conquered dozens of worlds, built an interstellar civilization through military might and technological superiority. Earth was just their latest challenge, their latest target. Thane learned about great battles, famous leaders, cultural touchstones. He memorized timelines, studied political structures, learned which families held power and which were fading. Culture was harder. Understanding why Zarathians valued what they valued, why honor meant everything, why displays of weakness were unforgivable. Why the royal family commanded such absolute loyalty. He learned about their religion, their philosophy, their art. Vecren brought recordings of music, shows him paintings, explained symbolism that meant nothing to human eyes, but everything to Zarathian ones. Biology was fascinating and disturbing. Zarathian physiology was radically different from human. Multiple hearts, redundant organs, skin that could harden under stress, eyes that saw different light spectrums. Vecren explained reproduction, how most Zarathians required 2 genetic donors, how the royal procedure that created Kyra was revolutionary and controversial, how combining human DNA had been an unthinkable breach of protocol, why it would cause riots if revealed. On the 10th day, Vecren brought combat training. You'll need to defend yourself, not just physically, but verbally. Court politics are vicious. People will test you, probe for weaknesses. You must be ready. They practiced debates, arguments, verbal sparring. Thane learned to deflect questions, to give non-answers that sounded substantial, to project confidence, even when uncertain. Vecren was merciless, breaking down his responses, showing him where he'd revealed too much or seemed evasive. On the 15th day, the queen visited. She entered without warning. Vecren immediately bowed. Thane followed a half-second later. Not fast enough, the queen noticed. Your instincts are still human. She circled him. You bow like a soldier, acknowledging a superior, not like a subject revering royalty. The difference is subtle but crucial. Show me again. Thane straightened, bowed again, tried to put more reverence into it. Better. The queen nodded. But practice it 1,000 more times, until it's automatic, until you don't think. How's his progress? She directed this to Vecren. Remarkable. Your Majesty. He's absorbed more in 2 weeks than most students manage in 6 months. But there are gaps, areas where human thinking bleeds through. We're working on it. The queen studied Thane. Her 6 eyes were unsettling, like being examined by a predator deciding if you were food. My daughter asks about you daily. She wants to see you, to talk with you. I've been delaying, making excuses. But she's becoming insistent. Thane's heart rate increased. When will I meet with her? Soon. The queen's voice was careful, but understand this. When you do, she will test you. Not intentionally, but children sense deception. If you're not ready, if you slip, she'll notice. And once she doubts you, rebuilding trust will be nearly impossible. Thane met her gaze. I'll be ready. Will you? The queen's expression was unreadable. Because, if you fail her, if you hurt her, if you make her doubt herself or her place in this world, I will make your death last weeks. I will ensure you understand the full depth of your mistake before I allow you to expire. Do you understand? Yes. Thane kept his voice steady. I understand completely. Good. The queen turned to leave, then paused. She's been drawing pictures. Of you. Of what she imagines you doing together. Teaching her. Playing with her. Being her father. She has an entire notebook filled with scenarios. Dreams. You're already real to her. Guardian. Already important. Don't destroy that. She left. Thane stood frozen, the weight of her words pressing down. Vecren touched his shoulder. Gentle. Come. We still have work to do. They continued training. More language. More culture. More careful construction of a false identity. On the 20th day, Vecren declared him ready. Or as ready as you'll ever be. The rest will come from experience. From immersion. From making mistakes and learning from them quickly. That night, Thane couldn't sleep. He lay in the too narrow bed, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow, he'd meet Kyra, Officially. Begin teaching her. Begin this strange new relationship. He thought about the drawings, about a child spending weeks imagining adventures with someone she'd met for minutes, about the weight of those expectations, about how easy it would be to disappoint her, to fail her, to be less than she needed. But he also thought about her face, her certainty, her small hand reaching toward him. Dad. That word. That simple word. It meant everything. It meant nothing. It meant a promise he hadn't made but couldn't break. Thane closed his eyes, tried to rest. Tomorrow everything changed. Again, morning came too fast. Thane was ready 2 hours before the scheduled meeting. He dressed in the robes Vecren had provided, Zarathian style. Formal, but not ornate. He checked his appearance in the mirror. Looked strange. Wrong. He'd never get used to these clothes. The door chimed. Vecren entered, carrying a data tablet. Good morning, Guardian. Today we'll have our first session with Princess Kyra in the education chamber. I'll be present to supervise and assist. But you'll be leading the instruction. Thane's stomach tightened. What should I teach her? Whatever she wants to learn. Vecren's voice was kind. She'll guide you. Children usually do. Just be honest. Be present. Be yourself. Except for the parts of yourself that are classified. They walked through the palace. Servants bowed as they passed. Guards watched carefully. Everyone knew who Thane was now. The human pretending to be Zarathian. The guardian assigned to the princess. The stranger who'd appeared from nowhere. The education chamber was spacious. Windows overlooked gardens. Furniture designed for children. Shelves packed with learning materials. Holographic displays. Interactive screens. Everything a brilliant young mind might need. And in the center of it all, sitting cross-legged on a cushion, was Kyra. She looked up when they entered. Her face exploded into joy. Dad. She launched herself at Thane before he could react. All 4 arms wrapped around him. He stumbled but caught himself. Caught her. Held her carefully. She was light. Fragile. Impossibly trusting. You came. She pulled back to look at him. All 4 eyes shining. You actually came. I thought maybe I dreamed you. Thought maybe you weren't real. I'm real. Thane's voice was rough. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Kyra beamed. Then, she noticed Vecren. Oh, hello, Teacher Vecren. Good morning, Princess. Vecren bowed. I'm here to assist Guardian Thalen as he begins his duties. Kyra's expression turned serious. You're here to make sure he doesn't mess up. Vecren smiled. Something like that. Kyra looked back at Thane. Are you going to mess up? I might, Thane admitted. I've never done this before. Never taught anyone. Never been he caught himself. A guardian. But I'll try my best. That's good. Kyra released him and grabbed his hand. Lower left hand, her upper right hand. Come on. I'll show you my stuff. She dragged him to a corner where she'd built a nest of books and tablets. This is my reading area. I've read 473 books. That's a lot for 3 years old. Teacher Vecren says I'm gifted. Mom says I'm overwhelming. What do you think? Thane knelt down to her level. I think you're exactly who you're supposed to be. Kyra studied him. Her eyes were disconcerting. Too many. Too knowing. You mean that? I do. Good. She pulled a tablet from the pile. Because I have questions. So many questions. And Mom won't answer most of them. But you will. Right. Because you're human. You know human things. Thane glanced at Vecren. The educator nodded slightly. I'll answer what I can. Kyra's smile was blinding. Perfect. First question. What's Earth like? Is it pretty? Is it scary? Do humans really have wars with each other even when there's no enemy? Why do you only have 2 eyes? Can you see colors I can't see? What's your favorite food? Do you have stories about heroes? What's the ocean like? I've seen pictures, but they don't seem real. Do you miss home? Are you sad you're here? Do you wish you could leave? The questions came rapid fire. Breathless. Thane held up a hand. Wait. Slow down. One at a time. Kyra bounced on her cushion. Okay. Okay. Earth first. What's it like? Thane sat down fully, tried to figure out where to start. It's beautiful. In ways that are hard to explain. We have oceans that stretch forever. Skies that change color. Mountains so high they touch clouds. Cities filled with millions of people. All different. All unique. Do you have multiple species? Like here? Kyra leaned forward. No. Just humans. But we're still different from each other. Different colors. Different languages. Different beliefs. That sounds lonely. Kyra frowned. Having only one species. We have thousands here. Yeah. Thane smiled sadly. It can be lonely. That's why some humans wanted to explore space. Find others. Make connections. But instead you found us. And now, we're fighting. Kyra's voice went quiet. Why? Thane chose his words carefully. Because we're scared of each other. Because we don't understand each other. Because both sides have done things that hurt the other. And once hurting starts, it's hard to stop. That's stupid, Kyra declared. Fighting is stupid. Mom says it's necessary sometimes. But I think it's just stupid. You might be right. Thane agreed. Vecren cleared their throat. Perhaps we should structure this session. Princess, why don't you show Guardian Thalen your current studies? Then he can supplement them with human perspectives. Kyra jumped up. Okay. I'm learning about genetics right now. How traits pass from parents to children. How DNA works. How species evolve. It's super interesting. Thane felt his stomach drop. Genetics. Of course. Teacher Vecren says I'm a special case. Kyra pulled up a holographic display. Because I was engineered. Not born natural. See? She pointed to spiraling genetic sequences. This is normal Zarathian DNA. And this is mine. There are differences. Anomalies. Places where the code doesn't match what it should. Thane looked at Vecren. The educator's face was carefully neutral. They'd planned this. This was a test. Teacher Vecren says, maybe the scientists made mistakes. Kyra continued. Or maybe they added things on purpose. To make me stronger. Smarter. Better. But I don't feel better. I just feel different. She turned to Thane. Do you know about genetics? Do humans study this stuff too? Yes. Thane's voice was steady. We do. And sometimes different isn't worse. Sometimes it's just different. Sometimes it means you're unique, in good ways. Kyra's eyes searched his face. Do you think that's true? Or are you just saying it to make me feel better? Both. Thane admitted. I think it's true. But I also want you to feel better. Because being different can be hard. Especially when you're young. Especially when you don't understand why. Kyra was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, do you know why I'm different? Thane's heart hammered. He thought about the Queen's warnings. About secrets and safety. About what revealing too much could cost. But he also thought about the child in front of him. Her trust. Her need for truth. Not completely, he said carefully. But I know your mother loves you. And I know the scientists who made you. We're trying to create someone special. Someone who could do things others can't. Whether they succeeded or made mistakes. Either way, you're here. You're real. And you matter. Kyra considered this. Then nodded. Okay, I can accept that. For now. But someday, I'll want the whole truth. When you think I'm ready. When you're ready. Thane agreed. When you're ready, I'll tell you everything I know. The morning continued. Kyra showed him mathematics, philosophy, engineering principles. She was frighteningly intelligent, processing concepts that would challenge adult humans, making connections that seemed intuitive to her but were revelatory to Thane. She learned faster than anyone he'd ever met. But she was still a child. She got frustrated when problems were too hard. She pouted when Vecren corrected her. She laughed at silly jokes and made up games involving impossible physics. Thane found himself relaxing, falling into rhythm, answering questions, telling stories, sharing pieces of Earth culture that made her eyes go wide. He told her about rain, about snow, about seasons changing, about animals that didn't exist on Zareth. Dogs, cats, elephants. She wanted to know everything. Around midday, Vecren called for a break. Kyra groaned but complied. They ate lunch in the garden. Simple food. Kyra talked nonstop. About her studies, her dreams, her frustrations with court protocol. You have to come to court sessions, she told Thane. Mom says, I have to learn politics. But it's so boring. Everyone just argues, and they use big words to hide what they really mean. I hate it. Maybe your guardian can provide perspective, Vecren suggested. Help you understand the complexities. Kyra brightened. Would you come with me to court? Stand near me so I can ask questions. Thane looked at Vecren. The educator nodded slightly. If your mother permits it? Thane said. Then yes. I'll come. Good. Kyra took another bite. Because I need someone who won't lie. Everyone else lies. Even Mom sometimes. She thinks I don't notice, but I do. Her voice went softer, sadder. I always notice. Thane put a hand on her shoulder. Small, delicate. I'll be as honest as I can be. Always. Promise. Promise. After lunch, they returned to lessons. But Kyra was more playful, less focused. She kept trying to get Thane to play games, to tell jokes, to draw pictures with her. Vecren indulged it. Let the session become more casual. Around mid-afternoon, Kyra asked, Do you have a family? On Earth? People who miss you? Thane froze. The question hit harder than expected. Yes. His voice was quiet. I have a mother. A sister. Friends. Do they know you're here? No. They think I'm dead. Kyra's face fell. That's terrible. Don't you want to tell them you're alive? More than anything. Thane admitted. But I can't. It's not safe. For them, or for you. Because of the secret. Yes. Kyra said it like she understood. Like she'd lived with secrets her whole short life. Because of the secret. She moved closer to him, leaned against his side. I'm sorry. Sorry you have to give them up. Sorry I'm part of why. Don't be. Thane wrapped an arm around her, awkward with her multiple limbs. But she adjusted, made it work. You didn't ask for this. Didn't choose it. You're just living your life. If there's anyone to blame, it's the universe for being complicated. Kyra was quiet. Then she said, I'm glad you're here, though. Even if it's sad. Even if it's hard. I'm glad I got to meet my dad. Thane's throat tightened. Me too. Kiddo. Me too. They sat like that for a while. Quiet. Connected. Vecren watched from across the room. Their expression, unreadable. That night, after Kyra had been taken to her chambers and Thane had returned to his quarters, Vecren stopped by. You did well today. The first session is always the hardest. You navigated it expertly. Thane sat heavily on his bed. I almost told her everything. About the human DNA. About why she's different. I wanted to. Vecren nodded. I know. I saw it. But you didn't. That shows control. Discipline. The Queen will be pleased. Thane looked up. Were you testing me? Yes. Vecren didn't apologize. The genetics discussion was intentional. We needed to see how you'd handle pressure. How you'd balance truth with necessity. You passed. What if I'd failed? Then, this arrangement would have ended. Vecren's voice was matter of fact. You'd have been removed. Executed. And we'd have told Kyra you left. That you couldn't handle the responsibility. She'd have been heartbroken. But she'd have survived. Thane felt anger rising. You'd have killed me for being honest with her. We'd have killed you for being reckless. There's a difference. Vecren met his eyes. Your honesty is valuable, but only when tempered with judgment. Today you showed both. Keep showing both. And you'll live. Slip, and you won't. Weeks became months. Thane settled into routine. Morning sessions with Kyra. Afternoons in court observing politics. Evenings studying with Vecren. Nights alone, processing everything. Slowly, impossibly, it started feeling normal. Kyra grew. Not physically. She was still small, still young, but mentally, emotionally, she asked harder questions, pushed boundaries, tested everyone around her, including Thane. She wanted to know about the war, about battles, about why humans and Zarathians kept killing each other. Thane tried to explain. Tried to be honest without glorifying violence. It's complicated, he'd say. Both sides think they're right. Both sides have lost people they love, and that makes forgiveness almost impossible. But you forgave us, Kyra pointed out one day. You're human. We're Zarathian. We're enemies. But you're here, teaching me, being my dad. How did you forgive? I didn't, Thane admitted. Not completely. I'm still angry about things your people did. Still scared sometimes. But I'm also trying to see past the uniforms and the weapons. Trying to see people. Like you. Like your mother. Like Vecren, and that makes it easier. Kyra absorbed this. Then asked, do you think there will ever be peace? Thane wanted to lie. Wanted to give her hope. But he'd promised honesty. I don't know. Peace requires both sides wanting it. Right now, too many people want revenge. Want justice. Want victory. Until that changes, until enough people are tired of fighting, the war will continue. That's depressing. Yeah, it is. Court sessions were harder. Thane stood near Kyra's seat. Watched as nobles argued and schemed. Listened to debates about military strategy, resource allocation, territorial disputes. Everyone was polite. Everyone was vicious. They'd smile while planning someone's political destruction. Kyra would whisper questions to him. Why is Lord Keithis lying? How can they tell? Why is the council voting against Mom when they know she's right? Thane would whisper back, explaining power dynamics, hidden agendas, the games people play when everything is at stake. The Queen noticed. She pulled him aside after one session. You're teaching my daughter to see through deception. That's dangerous. It's necessary. Thane countered. She'll inherit your throne someday. She needs to understand how power works, how people manipulate, how to protect herself. The Queen's eyes narrowed. Or, you're teaching her to distrust everyone, to see enemies everywhere, to become paranoid. Maybe. Thane didn't back down. But paranoia keeps you alive in places like this. You know that. The Queen was silent. Then nodded slightly. Continue. But be careful what else you teach her. Some lessons can't be unlearned. As months passed, Thane's relationship with Kyra deepened. She'd run to him when upset. Seek his advice on problems. Tell him secrets she wouldn't share with anyone else. About feeling different. about worrying. Her mother didn't really love her. About nightmares where she was alone. Thane would hold her. Let her cry. Remind her she was safe. You're not alone. He'd tell her, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You promise. Every time. I promise. But promises were becoming complicated. Because Thane was noticing things. Patterns. Behaviors. The Queen was preparing for something. Moving pieces. Making alliances. He mentioned it to Vecren during a lesson. Something's happening. The Queen is planning something big. Vecren looked uncomfortable. That's not your concern, Guardian. Your role is teaching the princess. Nothing more. Thane pressed. It involves the war, doesn't it? She's preparing a major offensive. Or a peace initiative. Something that will change everything. Vecren's silence was answer enough. Thane felt cold spreading. Does Kyra know? No. And you won't tell her. Vecren's voice was sharp. The princess is protected from military matters. Kept innocent. That's the Queen's wish. She's not innocent. Thane shot back. She's brilliant. She understands more than you think. She knows something's coming. She asks me questions I can't answer without lying, then lie. Vecren stood. Your job is protection. Not truth. Not always. Sometimes protection means deception. Sometimes love means shielding someone from reality until they're ready to handle it. And you think she's not ready. I think she's 3 years old. Vecren's voice softened. I think she deserves a childhood. However brief. However complicated. Don't take that from her by forcing adult concerns into her mind. Thane wanted to argue. But couldn't. Because Vecren was right. Kyra deserved better than constant worry. Constant fear. She deserved moments of joy. Of play. Of innocence. Even if they were borrowed. Even if they couldn't last. 2 months later, everything changed. Thane was in his quarters when alarms blared. Loud. Harsh. Emergency protocols. His door unsealed. Guards rushed in. Come with us. Now. No explanation. They dragged him through corridors. Past running soldiers. Past sealed blast doors. Down into the palace's deep levels. The war room. Massive. Filled with displays showing star systems. Fleet positions. Battle data. The Queen stood at the center. Armor fully engaged. Looking like a warrior goddess. Kyra was there too. Small. Scared. Standing near her mother's throne. When she saw Thane, she ran to him. He caught her. What's happening? He asked the nearest guard. Human fleet. The guard's voice was grim. Massive assault. Largest force they've ever sent. Targeting the palace directly. They're trying to kill the Queen. Thane's blood went cold. When? They'll be here in 4 hours. Maybe less. The Queen's voice cut through the chaos. Guardian. Approach. Thane carried Kyra forward. Set her down but kept a hand on her shoulder. Your people have decided to end this war decisively. The Queen's face was hard. They're throwing everything at us. Every ship. Every weapon. Every soldier. If they succeed, the entire royal line ends today. Thane's mind raced. You need to evacuate. Get Kyra out. Get somewhere safe. The Queen shook her head. There is nowhere safe. They're targeting evacuation routes. They know our protocols. Someone betrayed us. Gave them intelligence. If we run, they'll destroy us in transit. Our only chance is to fortify here. Fight them back. And hope our defenses hold. She turned to Thane. Which brings me to you. Me. You're human. You know their tactics. Their strategies. You were one of their best commanders. I need you to help coordinate our defense. Tell us how they'll attack. Where they'll hit. How to counter them. Thane felt the weight of her words. You want me to fight my own people. I want you to save my daughter. The queen's voice was ice. Your people will not discriminate. They'll kill everyone, including Kyra, including you. Unless we stop them. Kyra grabbed Thane's hand. Dad, please, help Mom. Help us. Thane looked down at her. Saw fear. Saw trust. Saw a child who believed he could fix this. Who believed he would choose her. And he realized he'd already chosen. Weeks ago. Months ago. The moment he'd agreed to stay. He looked at the Queen. Tell me what you need. The next hours were frantic. Thane studied the approaching fleet. Analyzed formation patterns. Predicted attack vectors. The humans were being smart. Using coordinated strikes. Hitting multiple points simultaneously. Overwhelming defenses. He outlined their strategy for the Queen's commanders. Where they'd focus fire. Which defenses to reinforce. How to disrupt their coordination. The Zarathian military listened. Some with respect. Others with obvious resentment. This is treason. One admiral spat. He's betraying his species. His people. He should be executed, not consulted. The Queen silenced them with a gesture. Guardian Thalen is protecting my daughter. That's his species now. That's his people. Anyone who disagrees can join him in the front lines. See how committed they are to their objections. No one volunteered. As the fleet drew closer, Thane felt something breaking inside him. He was about to help kill humans. People who thought they were rescuing him. People who were following orders. Fighting for what they believed was right. But if he didn't, if he let them succeed, Kyra would die. The Queen would die. Everything he'd built here would end. And his sacrifice would mean nothing. He pulled Kyra aside. Knelt down. Looked into her eyes. Listen to me. What's about to happen? It's going to be scary. Loud. Violent. I need you to stay close to your mother. Stay in the safest room. Don't come out no matter what you hear. Okay. Kyra's voice was small. Are you going to fight? But I promise I'll do everything I can to come back. You better. Kyra hugged him fiercely. All four arms. Because I need you. And if you die, I'll be so mad at you. Thane laughed despite himself. Noted. The first strikes hit 30 minutes later. The palace shook. Shields flared. Defense systems activated. Thane stood in the war room coordinating responses. Calling out attack patterns. Directing countermeasures. The Zarathian military moved with precision. Intercepting missiles. Destroying fighters. Holding the line. But the human fleet was massive. Wave after wave. Relentless. And they were adapting. Learning. Changing tactics. 2 hours in, shields dropped to 60%. Then 40. Then 20. The Queen's face was grim. They're going to break through. Thane knew she was right. He'd seen this strategy before. Overwhelming force until defenses collapsed. Then ground troops. Occupation. Execution of leadership. We need to buy more time, he said. Force them to commit everything. If we can hold long enough, their supply lines will weaken. They'll have to retreat or risk losing their entire fleet. How do we hold? The Queen demanded. Thane took a breath, looked at the tactical display, saw the pattern, saw the answer, and hated it. We draw them into the palace itself. Let them think they've won. Then activate the internal defense grid. Turn the whole building into a kill box. Trap them inside. The Queen's eyes widened. That would destroy half the palace. Kill hundreds of our own people. Servants. Guards. Civilians. I know. Thane's voice was hollow. But it's the only way to stop them. The only way to save Kyra. The Queen looked at him for a long moment. Then nodded. Do it. Coordinates were transmitted. Defenses reconfigured. The shields dropped completely. Human forces surged forward. Landing craft, soldiers, pouring into the palace like a flood. The Zerathian military fell back. Organized retreat, drawing the humans deeper, into corridors, into chambers, into the trap. Thane watched on displays, saw human soldiers advancing, saw their commanders coordinating, saw his former squadron among them. People he'd trained with, fought alongside, trusted, and he was about to kill them all. He activated the defense grid. Energy barriers snapped into place, sealing exits, trapping thousands of humans inside. Then automated weapons engaged. Turrets, drones, lethal protocols. The screaming started immediately. Thane closed his eyes. Tried not to hear it. Failed. The humans fought back. Valiantly. Desperately. But they were boxed in. No escape. No reinforcements. Within an hour, it was over. Silence fell over the war room. The Queen stood motionless, staring at casualty reports. 4,000 humans dead. 600 Zerathians. The palace was secured. The attack was repelled. But the cost. The cost was staggering. Thane felt numb. He'd just orchestrated the deaths of thousands of his own kind. Thane. The Queen's voice was quiet. You saved us. You saved my daughter. But you destroyed yourself in the process. Didn't you? Thane didn't answer. Couldn't. Because she was right. Something inside him had died. Something essential. Something he'd never get back. Kyra appeared in the doorway. Small. Shocked. She'd seen the reports. Understood what happened. She walked to Thane slowly. Looked up at him. You killed them. To save me. Yes. You killed humans. Your people. To protect me. Thane knelt down. Met her eyes. Yes. I did. And I'd do it again. Because you matter more. Kyra's face crumpled. She threw herself at him. Sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have had to do that. You shouldn't have had to choose. But Thane had chosen. And now, he had to live with it. The aftermath was chaos. Bodies removed. Damage assessed. The palace went into lockdown. No one in. No one out. The Queen addressed her people. Declared victory. Praised the defenders. Promised retribution against Earth for their aggression. But in private, she was different. Haunted. She called Thane to her chambers, 3 days after the battle. Guardian. We need to discuss what happens next. Thane stood before her throne. Exhausted. Broken. Something about his posture had changed. Speak, Your Majesty. The Queen studied him. You betrayed your species for mine. Killed your own people to save us. That action will have consequences. Earth will see you as the ultimate traitor. And my people. She paused. My people will never fully trust you either. Because if you betrayed humanity, what's to stop you from betraying us? Thane almost laughed. So I'm trusted by no one. Marked by everyone. Yes. The Queen's voice held something like sympathy. You're in an impossible position. And it's my fault. I put you here. I forced this choice. I should have evacuated Kyra when I had the chance. But you didn't. Thane met her eyes. And I made my choice. So what now? Do you execute me? Make me disappear? Tie up the loose end? The Queen was quiet. Then shook her head. No. You'll stay. Continue your role. But things will be different. The court knows what you did. Knows you fought against humans. Some see it as loyalty. Others as proof you're dangerous. You'll be watched more carefully, questioned more frequently. Your access to Kyra will be monitored. Thane felt something twist inside him. You're taking her away. Not completely. But I need to be cautious. She's the heir. She can't be seen as too close to someone so controversial. Thane wanted to argue, to fight, but he had no leverage, no power. He'd given it all away. He nodded slowly. I understand. Good. The Queen gestured to the door. You're dismissed. But Guardian. Thane stopped. Yes. Thank you. For saving her. For choosing her. I know what it cost. Thane left without responding. Because, what could he say? You're welcome. That felt obscene. Like accepting gratitude for atrocity. The next weeks were brutal. Thane's sessions with Kyra were reduced to 3 times per week. Always supervised. Always formal. She tried to connect. Tried to talk about what happened. About the battle. About his choice. But guards stood nearby, recording everything. Listening. Thane kept his answers careful. Measured. Safe. Kyra noticed. Of course, she noticed. She pulled away. Became distant. Started spending more time with other tutors. Other advisors. People who wouldn't remind her of death and sacrifice. Thane understood. But it hurt. Like losing something precious he'd barely had time to appreciate. Vekran visited one evening. Found Thane, sitting alone in his quarters. Staring at nothing. You're drowning. The educator's voice was gentle. Drowning in guilt. In regret. I can see it. Thane didn't respond. Vekran sat down. What you did was impossible. And necessary. And unforgivable. All at once. You saved a child by killing thousands. There's no moral framework that makes that clean. No philosophy that resolves it. You'll carry this forever. I know. Thane's voice was hollow. Then why are you still here? Why not end it? Make the pain stop. Because she needs me. Thane looked at Vekran. Even if we barely see each other, even if she's pulling away, she still needs to know I chose her, that someone chose her, that she's worth the cost. Vekran nodded slowly. That's the only answer that matters. Hold on to it. When everything else falls apart, hold on to that. But nothing fell apart. Instead, things normalized. Weeks became months again. The war continued. Earth mourned its losses. Zareth celebrated its victory. The incident became history, became story, became legend. The human who turned traitor to save the alien princess. Some Zarathians hailed Thane as a hero, proof that even enemies could be converted. Others called him a monster, a betrayer. Someone who couldn't be trusted by anyone. Thane stopped caring. He did his job. Taught Kyra when allowed. Studied when alone. Survived. Kyra grew older, more mature, more complicated. She started asking harder questions again. About loyalty. About sacrifice. About whether the right choice was always the good choice. They were sitting in the garden one afternoon. Supervised session. But the guard was far enough away they could speak quietly. Dad. She'd started calling him that again. Private moments. When she forgot to be formal. Yes. Was it worth it? Saving me. Killing them. Thane considered lying. Considered the easy answer. But he'd promised honesty. I don't know. Some days, yes. When I see you smile. When I see you learning. Growing. Becoming someone incredible. Those days, it feels worth it. And other days I wake up hearing screams. Seeing faces. Remembering names of people I killed. People who had families. Lives. Dreams. And those days I'm not sure anything is worth that cost. Kyra was quiet. Then, I'm sorry. You shouldn't be sorry. This isn't your fault. I know. But I'm still sorry. End quote. Because you're hurting. And it's connected to me. That's enough reason to be sorry. Thane looked at her. Really looked. She was taller now. Almost 5. Still small. Still young. But her eyes held understanding that shouldn't exist in someone so new. You're going to be an amazing queen someday. Kyra smiled sadly. If I survive that long, politics are getting worse. Mom says there are people who want to hurt us, who think I'm not legitimate, that I'm weak. Thane's protective instincts flared. Who? I'll talk to them. Kyra laughed. That's sweet. But you can't fight court politics with threats. You taught me that. Power here is subtle, hidden. You have to be smarter, more careful. I know, but I still want to protect you. You do. Just by being here. By showing me it's possible to choose people over principles. Love over loyalty. That matters more than you think. The guard called time. Session over. Kyra stood, hugged Thane quickly. All 4 arms. Then pulled away. See you next session, Dad. He watched her leave. Small figure walking toward the palace. Surrounded by guards. Protected. Isolated. His daughter. Sort of. In the most complicated way possible. A year passed. Then another. Kyra turned 7. Then 8. Growing taller. Smarter. More confident. The sessions continued. Less frequent than Thane wanted. But regular. Constant. A thread connecting them. The queen remained distant but civil. She'd nod when they passed in corridors. Send occasional messages through Vecran. Updates on Kyra's progress. Concerns about her education. Never personal. Never warm. But not hostile either. A working relationship. Professional. Cold. Then, on Kyra's 9th birthday, everything shifted again. Thane was summoned to the throne room. Full court in session. Nobles. Military. Advisors. Everyone who mattered. He entered cautiously. Stood in the designated space for lower court members. The queen rose. Her voice carried absolute authority. Today, I make an announcement. My daughter, Princess Kyra, will soon begin formal training as heir. She will attend council sessions. Learn statecraft. Prepare to eventually lead. This is standard protocol, but she requires guidance. Someone who can provide perspective outside traditional Zerathian thinking. Someone who has proven loyal despite impossible circumstances. She gestured to Thane. Guardian Thalen will be elevated to royal advisor. He will accompany my daughter through her training. Provide counsel. Serve as her personal strategist. The court erupted. Objections. Questions. Outrage. A human. In an advisory role. It was unprecedented. Dangerous. Insulting. The queen raised a hand. Silence crashed down. This is not negotiable. Guardian Thalen has earned this position through sacrifice and service. Anyone who challenges my decision challenges me directly. Do so at your own risk. No one spoke. The queen's gaze swept the room. Settled on Thane. Guardian. Approach. Thane walked forward. Climbed the steps to the throne platform. Knelt. The queen placed a hand on his head. In front of everyone. Before this court, I name you Royal Advisor Thalen. You will serve the crown. Protect the heir. Provide wisdom when asked. Refuse nothing. Betray no one. Speak truth always. Do you accept this responsibility? I do, Your Majesty. Then rise. Advisor. And serve well. Thane stood, turned to face the court. Saw hostility, suspicion, but also curiosity. And from one small figure standing near the side entrance, Kyra, smiling so wide her face could barely contain it. That night, she visited his quarters. Against protocol. But she didn't care. She burst in without knocking. You're my advisor now. That means we get to work together every day, every meeting, every decision. It's basically perfect. Thane smiled. It's certainly something. It means I can protect you better. Keep you safe from people who want to hurt you. And I can learn from you. Kyra sat down, pulled her knees to her chest. Lower pair of arms wrapped around them. Upper pair gesturing as she talked. You've taught me so much, Dad. About thinking differently. About seeing past appearances. About choosing people even when it's hard. Now, I get to show you what I'm learning. How I'm growing. We get to do this together. Thane felt emotion welling up. Carefully controlled but present. We do. And I'm honored. Really. Kyra's expression turned serious. I know what this cost you. I'm older now. I understand better. You gave up everything. Your world. Your people. Your identity. For me. To keep me safe. To be my father. That's... She paused, searching for words. That's the biggest gift anyone's ever given me. And I won't waste it. I promise. You don't have to promise anything. Just be yourself. Kyra smiled. That's exactly what you said when we met. I remember. You said I was exactly who I was supposed to be. That hasn't changed. Hasn't it? Kyra tilted her head. I know things now. About my genetics. About the human DNA. I figured it out. About a year ago. Thane's heart stopped. The Queen. I didn't tell her, Kyra said quickly. Because I wanted to understand it first. Wanted to process what it meant. And I realized, it doesn't change anything. Doesn't make me less Zarathian. Doesn't make you less my dad. End quote. If anything, it explains why I felt so connected to you from the start. Why I knew you were important. We're literally connected. Genetically. And that's... She smiled. That's kind of perfect. Thane's voice was rough. You're not angry. About the secret. About us hiding it. Why would I be angry? Kyra stood. Walked to him. I'm alive because of choices other people made. Choices you made. Choices Mom made. Choices scientists made. I can't be angry at the circumstances of my existence. I can only decide what to do with the life I have. And I choose to live it fully, authentically, connected to you, connected to Mom, connected to both parts of who I am, human and Zarathian. Thane pulled her into a hug. Careful. Gentle. She fit perfectly, like she always had. You're extraordinary. I know. Kyra's voice was muffled against his shoulder. But saying it, she pulled back, looked up at him. Seriously, though. Thank you. For staying. For choosing me. For being my dad even when it destroyed you. I see what it cost. I see the sadness in your eyes sometimes. The guilt. And I'm sorry. But I'm also grateful. Because I got you. And that made everything else bearable. Thane couldn't speak. Could only nod. Hold her. Let her see the tears he'd been holding back for years. Time continued forward. Thane served as royal advisor. Attended meetings. Provided counsel. Watched Kyra grow into her power. She was brilliant. Diplomatic when needed. Fierce when necessary. She balanced her heritage. Human practicality and Zarathian honor. She studied both cultures. Learned both histories. Became someone unique. A bridge between worlds. The war eventually ended. Not through victory, but through exhaustion. Both sides too tired. Too broken. Too aware of the cost. A treaty was signed. Borders established. Communication channels opened. And when delegates from Earth came to negotiate, Kyra insisted on being present. Insisted on Thane being there too. The humans didn't know who he was at first. Just another Zarathian advisor. But during a break, one of them studied him carefully. Pulled him aside. I know you. The delegate's voice was uncertain. You were. Commander Thane. Thane nodded slowly. I was. Long time ago. You're dead. We have records. Memorials. Your family thinks. I know. Thane's voice was quiet. I know what they think. What happened to you? The delegate's eyes were wide. How did you end up here? Working for them. It's complicated. Thane glanced toward the negotiating chamber, where Kyra sat. Small, confident, leading discussions like she was born for it. And classified. The delegate followed his gaze, saw Kyra, saw something in how Thane looked at her, then understanding dawned. Oh, God. She's... Don't. Thane's voice was sharp. Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't tell anyone. It's classified for reasons that would take days to explain. Just leave it alone. The delegate nodded slowly. But their expression held something like awe. You gave up everything. Everything. To protect her. Thane didn't confirm or deny. Just walked back to the negotiating table, took his place near Kyra. She glanced at him, smiled slightly. Everything okay? Perfect. He whispered. Just ghosts from the past. She touched his hand briefly. Under the table. Reassurance. Connection. Then returned to negotiations. The treaty was finalized. Peace declared. Both sides wary but hopeful. Humanity and Zareth would coexist. Trade. Communicate. Maybe eventually trust. And at the center of it all, a young princess who understood both worlds, who carried both in her blood, who refused to choose sides because she was both. As the Earth delegates prepared to leave, one of them approached Thane again. Your family, the delegate said quietly. Do you want me to tell them? That you're alive? Thane considered. Thought about his mother, his sister, the grief they'd carried, the healing they'd probably found. Then he looked at Kyra, watching him from across the room. No, his voice was firm. They've mourned. They've moved forward. Opening that wound would only hurt them. Let them remember me as I was. A soldier. A brother. A son. Not as whatever I am now. The delegate looked like they wanted to argue, but nodded. Okay. I'll keep your secret. Thank you. The delegate left. Thane stood alone for a moment, feeling the weight of his choice. Then Kyra appeared beside him. Ready to go. The court needs us. Thane smiled down at her. Yeah. I'm ready. Let's go. They walked out together. Thane. Lubber. Ending support. Advisor and princess. Father and daughter. Human and Zarathian. Two souls bound by impossible circumstances. Connected by choices that should never have had to be made. But surviving anyway. Thriving anyway. Together. Years passed. The peace held. Kyra grew into a remarkable leader. At 16, she formally became heir apparent. At 20, she began shadowing her mother in all royal duties. At 23, the queen fell ill. A genetic condition. Terminal. Incurable. The palace mourned quietly. Kyra spent every possible moment with her mother. Learning. Listening. Preparing. Thane stood nearby. Always. Supporting. Guiding. The queen called him to her chambers in her final days. She looked frail. Smaller. Her armor gone. Just simple robes. Guardian. She still called him that sometimes. Royal advisor. Thank you. For what, Your Majesty? Everything. The queen's voice was weak but clear. You stayed when you could have fled. You chose my daughter over your world. You've protected her, guided her, made her stronger than I ever imagined possible. I did what any father would. You did more. The queen reached out, took his hand. Strange. A dying alien queen holding the hand of a human traitor. But we're past that now, aren't we? Past species. Past sides. We're just people. Connected by a child we both love. Yes. Thane's voice was thick. We're just people. Take care of her. The queen's grip tightened. When I'm gone, when she's queen, the pressure will be immense. She'll need you. She has me. Always. Good. The queen closed her eyes. That's all I needed to hear. She died 3 days later. The funeral was massive. Representatives from dozens worlds, including Earth. The entire Zerathian Empire mourned. But none more than Kyra. She stood through the ceremonies. Tall. Composed. Every inch a queen. But Thane saw the cracks. Saw her fighting tears. Fighting grief. When it was finally over, when everyone had left, she found him in the gardens, collapsed into his arms, all 4 arms wrapped around him, and sobbed. He held her, said nothing, just let her break, because sometimes that's all a father can do. Eventually, she pulled back, wiped her eyes. I have to take the throne tomorrow. Formal coronation. The crown. The responsibility. Everything. I know. Are you ready? No. Kyra laughed. It came out choked. I'm 23. I'm brilliant. I'm trained. And I'm completely terrified. That's normal. You'll be great. You really think so? I know so. Thane touched her face. You're everything your mother hoped. And more. You're strong. Wise. Compassionate. You understand both sides of yourself, both halves of your heritage. That makes you exactly what this empire needs. Kyra studied his face. All those years ago, when I called you Dad, when I claimed you, did you ever imagine this? This moment? Honestly. No, Thane admitted. I thought I'd be dead within a year, executed or killed in battle. I never imagined staying, growing old here, watching you become. This, he gestured at her. At the queen, she was about to become. But I'm glad I was wrong. Glad I stayed. Glad I got to see who you'd become. Me too. Kyra hugged him again. Briefly. I'm going to need you more than ever. You know that. Right. I know. And I'll be here. Where I've always been. Where I'll always be. Right beside you. The coronation was spectacular. Kyra stood before the assembled court, crown placed on her head, authority transferred. She was no longer princess. She was queen, ruler of the Zerathian Empire, sovereign of dozens worlds. The youngest queen in history, and the most complicated. After the ceremony, she made her first official decree. Royal Advisor Thalen is elevated to High Counselor. He will serve at my right hand, guide my decisions, provide wisdom from his unique perspective. This is not negotiable. This is not temporary. This is permanent. The court accepted it because they had no choice. Because Kyra's authority was absolute. Because Thane had proven himself over decades. Because their queen had decided. And that was final. That night, in private, Kyra and Thane stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The palace lights reflected in her eyes, making them seem ancient. You know what's funny? Kyra said. What? All of this. Everything. Started because I called you Dad. Because I felt a connection I couldn't explain. And everyone panicked. Everyone assumed it was impossible. Dangerous. Wrong. But it was the most right thing I've ever done. Claiming you. Choosing you. Thane smiled. I chose you too. I know. And that's what makes it perfect. Kyra looked out over her empire. Dad. Yeah. Thank you. For everything. For all of it. The sacrifices. The pain. The love. Thank you. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Because you saved me. Not just my life, but me. My sense of self. My understanding of identity. You showed me it's possible to be multiple things at once. Human and Zerathian. Princess and person. Heir and daughter. You gave me that, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it. Thane pulled her close. One last hug before they returned to formality. Before she was only queen, and he was only counselor. You already are. You always were. They stood together as the city lights flickered below, two souls. Connected by genetics, by choice, by love that transcended species, by a simple word spoken in a throne room years ago. Dad. The word that changed everything, the word that saved them both. And as they stood there, overlooking an empire at peace, Thane realized something. He'd lost his old life, his identity, his world, but he'd gained something infinitely more valuable. Purpose. Connection. A child who became a queen. A future he'd helped build. A legacy that would outlast him. It wasn't the life he'd planned. Wasn't the life he'd imagined. But it was his life. And he wouldn't trade it for anything. Not even to go back. Not even to undo the pain. Because this moment, right here, standing beside his daughter, his queen, the child he'd chosen, and who'd chosen him. This moment made everything worth it. Every sacrifice, every loss, every impossible choice. All of it. Worth it. Dad. Kyra said it one more time. Quiet. Private. Just for him. I love you. I love you too. And in that moment, in that simple exchange, the universe made sense.